Welcome to Restoria. I'm Jenna, and this is your cozy corner for gentle bedtime stories. Each night, I'll share peaceful tales made to quiet your thoughts and guide you softly into sleep. So settle in, get comfy, and let the story carry you into rest. The story tonight is called The Lullabies Above the Shop, Chapter 1. The room above the shop. The floor creaks softly beneath Theo's feet as he moves across the room, slippers brushing against old wood, worn smooth by time. Morning has come and gone without much notice. The afternoon, gentle and grey, settles in like a shawl laid over the shoulders of the city. In the quiet room above the music shop, light filters through tall, slanted windows, tracing long, pale rectangles across the floorboards. Dust floats lazily in the golden haze, each mote drifting without hurry. Theo moves like this, tune-rushed, present. His walls are filled with soft things books, stacked 2 and 3 deep, their spines worn smooth, a woolen shawl thrown across the back of an old chair, a faded rug with frayed edges, reds and golds dulled by the years. There are dried sprigs of lavender in jars, small notes tacked above the piano with smudged pencil sketches and tiny loops of melody. Nothing here demands attention. Everything waits gently. He stands for a moment by the piano, fingers resting lightly on the smooth wood. His head tilts, listening not for sound, but for the space around it. There is a kind of music in stillness, if one is patient enough. Outside, clouds drift low and full. A soft breeze turns the lace curtains inward, lifting them gently as if the room itself is breathing. Somewhere, far away, a bell rings. Closer, the faint click of bicycle spokes passes. Beneath the window, a cat often visits the rooftop ledge. Today, she is there, tail curling and uncurling as she sits just outside the frame of the window. Her eyes blink slowly at Theo, and he nods in return. There is an understanding between them, no need for noise. Theo sits slowly on the piano bench, the wood sighs beneath him. He does not open the notebook on the shelf or shuffle through pages. He simply places his hands on the keys and waits. The first note is barely there, a single tone that lingers like breath on glass. Then another a soft step following the first. They do not hurry. They find each other gently. Theo plays with his eyes half closed, not composing, not deciding, just listening. The piano speaks back in kind, its voice warm and aged, like a friend who knows when not to speak. A lullaby begins to form, so softly it almost doesn't. There is no rush to shape it. It curls into the air like steam from a cup left beside the window. He pauses often, letting silence fold between the notes. This silence is not empty. It is full of the hush outside, the hush within. A soft knock at the floor from below. The shopkeeper, perhaps stepping carefully around cello stands and wooden crates of harmonicas, or maybe someone browsing, the bell on the shop door stilled for now. The lullaby continues. It does not need an ending yet. Theo lets it wander, unspooling like thread between his fingers. When at last the melody rests, it does so without conclusion, just a soft hush, like a blanket drawn up beneath the chin. He closes the lid of the piano slowly and with care. There is a reverence in the motion, a small bow to the quietness that birthed the song. Theo leans back, his palms resting gently on his knees. He breathes in the stillness, then out. The room is quiet again. Later, he will copy the notes by hand. He will place the page into an envelope, seal it, and set it at the top of the stairs. But for now, he lets the afternoon linger. He watches the light shift across the floor, slow as sleep. He listens to the cat stretch and settle just beyond the sill. The window is open. The air is cool and soft. The day exhales. Chapter 2. The shop below. Downstairs, the music shop is a world unto itself. Dim and inviting, with low golden light and the scent of old varnish and cedar, it feels less like a store and more like a memory. Shelves stretch tall with sheet music, yellowed at the corners. Wooden instruments line the walls, violins, flutes, mandolins, each held with care in their velvet cradles. The owner, Mrs. Bellamy, wears long cardigans and soft-soled shoes. Her hair is grey and gathered loosely at the nape of her neck, always with a pencil tucked through it. She moves through the shop like a breeze, through chimes lightly, gently, as if to not disturb the air. There are clocks in the shop, none of them quite in sync. One ticks softly on the far wall, its sound barely more than a whisper. Another chimes once every hour, always a minute late. They do not mark time so much as accompany it. It is just after Theo has played his lullaby, when she hears the muffled hush of the piano's final note. She closes her ledger and looks up, eyes drifting to the ceiling. There is a small, private smile on her face. She does not speak. Later, as she tends the front counter, she finds the envelope on the top stair. It is always there, waiting quietly. Cream-colored, unmarked, but for the number in Theo's soft handwriting. Today, no, 38. Mrs. Bellamy holds it in both hands before she opens it. She reads the music slowly, reverently, eyes tracking the notes like steps on a path. Then she turns and walks to the back room. The cassette recorder waits there, squat and reliable. She presses a fresh tape into place, labels it with the number and the usual phrase. For those who need rest, her handwriting is tidy and round, each letter a small kindness. She sits and begins to play. Mrs. Bellamy is not a pianist, not like Theo, but she plays with care, with softness. The melody is simple and slow, and in her hands it becomes something tender, like a secret passed from one heart to another. The back room is filled with old things, boxes of cassette shells, a tin of sharpened pencils, a kettle and a jar of lemon biscuits. On the windowsill, a row of pebbles gathered from years of quiet walk, a postcard from someone who once played here, pinned above the recorder. When the tape ends, she rewinds it gently. Clink, whir. She places it in the wind display near the counter between the tuning forks and thumb pianos. Someone will find it. They always do. A man came in last week, tired behind his glasses, and bought, no, 17. Said nothing except for the baby. His hands trembled slightly as he took the cassette. Mrs. Bellamy had just nodded and wrapped it in brown paper. There are others, a nurse who buys them in pairs, a girl with headphones always tucked into her collar, a boy who never speaks but hums softly when he thinks no one is near. They never ask who writes the music. Somehow, they seem to know they shouldn't, or maybe they just understand that some things are meant to arrive quietly, like rain on a tired roof. In the late afternoon, as shadows stretch across the counters, Mrs. Bellamy makes tea in a chipped ceramic pot. She carries it to the front, the steam softening her glasses. A child taps gently on the glass door, holding her mother's hand. The bell above the door rings. They step inside, soft voices and woolen coats. The mother lifts a violin from its stand, testing the weight. The child points toward the tapes, tiny fingers brushing the wood. Mrs. Bellamy pours tea into a clay cup, sets it beside the register. The day continues, steady and warm. Upstairs, Theo is quiet again. And downstairs, Lullaby, no, 38, waits patiently, resting in its case, ready to be found. Chapter 3. The Ledge and the Light. Atop the narrow roof just outside Theo's window, the cat stretches long in a beam of late sun. Her fur catches the gold like thread, whiskers twitching with dreams only she can see. She does not mind the slope of the tiles beneath her. She is at home on the edge of things. Theo watches her from his chair by the window. The lullaby he played earlier still lingers in the corners of the room, as if the notes left a softness behind. He hasn't moved much since. His hands are clasped loosely, his posture curved like a question left unanswered. The day is turning now. The light has shifted, warmer in color but gentler in reach. It settles along the tops of buildings, tracing the city's old chimneys and window frames with a brush dipped in honey. Everything glows, but quietly. Theo sighs, the sound barely more than the air leaving his chest. There is no need to fill the space with anything more. In his world, silence is not absence. It is presence, holding him with invisible arms. He opens the small window farther. The hinges creak, familiar and soft. The breeze is cooler now, touched by the edge of evening. It smells faintly of leaves and old stone and the distant smoke of someone's supper. The cat blinks and turns her head. She meets Theo's gaze with a look that says, All is as it should be. Then she turns her attention to a slow-moving moth drifting past. Her tail flicks once. Inside, Theo stands and walks slowly to the piano again. He does not sit this time. He rests his hand on its surface, feeling the warmth of wood that held the day's music. Sometimes the piano feels like an extension of his breath. Sometimes it feels like an old friend waiting without asking. There are more pages in the drawer, blank staves, and quiet margin. He pulls one out but does not write. Instead, he sets it on the windowsill and leans nearby, watching the street below. Shadows stretch longer across the cobbles. A tram hums somewhere distant. A boy chases a paper bag caught in the wind. Laughter spills up, light as flower dust. There are pigeons on the roof across the way, their coo slow and rhythmic, like an old lullaby from another time. They puff their feathers and turn slowly in place. One of them flaps and rises, wings catching the last of the sun. Theo follows it with his eyes. Somewhere farther down the street, a record player hums into life. The faint hiss of needle on vinyl, then the delicate crackle of strings and slow chords. Music carried by the open windows of strangers. It does not intrude. It simply joins. From a nearby balcony, someone waters a row of plants. Water trickles through leaves and down into ceramic pot. A soft murmur of conversation follows, low and affectionate. Theo closes his eyes and listens, letting the fragments of life drift in. Theo watches it all as if from inside a cocoon. The world does not call to him urgently. It exists alongside him, gently and without rush. And that is enough. He thinks sometimes that music is not made. It is remembered, as if the melody already lives in the wind, the light, the turning of the cat's ears. His task is only to be quiet enough to hear it. The cat stands and stretches, arches her back, then steps carefully along the ledge, her paws finding each brick with ancient certainty. She does not look back. She does not need to. Theo smiles. A smile not of amusement but of understanding. He returns to his chair, the window still open beside him. The page remains untouched. Below, a light flickers on in the shop. He sees Mrs. Bellamy move through the aisles, her cardigan sleeves trailing like quiet shadows. She checks the tape display, straightens a row of harmonicas, pauses to sip from her clay mug. From the window, Theo watches the way her movement echoes the rhythm of the day-steady, unobtrusive whole. The way the shop pulses softly in its own little breath. A moth drifts in through the window, settles for a moment on the corner of the blank staff paper. Its wings are like parchment, flecked with pale brown. Theo doesn't move to brush it away. He lets it stay. The light continues to shift. The room grows golden, then amber, then something deeper. Night has not arrived, but it is walking slowly this way. And upstairs, in the quiet room above the shop, the world holds its breath. Chapter 4. Rain in the Pipes. It begins just after dusk. The first drops tap lightly against the roof, small and uncertain, like someone testing the shape of silence. Then comes the steadier, rhythm gentle, deliberate, patient rain. Theo is still by the window, though the light has gone. He sits with a blanket now draped loosely over his shoulders, a cup of tea cooling in his hands. The air smells of wet stone, warm dust, and the faint spice of clove. The cat has not returned to the ledge. She has found a dry corner of the rooftop, curled beneath the overhang, invisible now in the dark. But Theo senses her there, as one might sense the weight of a thought not yet spoken. The rain deepens. It gathers on the window glass, tracing long, slow lines down the pane. The gutters begin to sing, a soft, trickling harmony from the edges of the building. Pipes murmur with movement. Somewhere, water drips into a rusted tin near the back eaves. The sound is oddly steady, like a metronome half remembered. Each drop lands with its own note, distinct and sure. The house knows this rhythm well. Theo does not play the piano tonight. He listens. Each note the rain offers is clear, unhurried. It is enough. From below, the music shop glows faintly. Its windows are fogged with warmth, and the silhouettes of shells and cellos blur gently behind the glass. The sign out front swings a little in the wind, its hinges creaking softly. Mrs. Bellamy has left a candle in the window, a steady flame that dances with the rhythm of the storm. She has gone home for the night, her footsteps having long faded down the lane, but she leaves the shop lit, as she always does on rainy evenings, a small lighthouse for quiet travelers. Theo sips his tea. The cup is chipped at the rim, a favorite of his. It fits his hands, just so, as if shaped for quiet. He closes his eyes. In the dark, the city breathes differently, not louder or softer, just slower, more careful. Footsteps pass now and then, muffled by wet street, the occasional swoosh of a car through puddles, distant laughter under umbrellas. There is comfort in this loosened world, this softened edge. Street lights blur through the rain, their halos shimmering and golden. Theo watches them blink and sway as if breathing with the weather. Up here, above it all, Theo feels no need to move. The rain has settled in, and so has he. He lets the quiet stretch, lets it shape the night. Tonight, there will be no lullaby written, but there is one being played, nonetheless, not from his hands, but from the sky, a lullaby for the rooftops, for the cat tucked into a dry corner, for the empty music shop resting, for himself. And in the hush that follows, even the walls seem to soften, even the pipes seem to hum, even the tea, now cool, feels like a kind of warmth. Outside, a gutter overflows for a moment, water spilling down in a glistening sheet. It catches the light from the shop window below, and for a moment it glows, then it quiets again. Theo watches his thoughts drifting like the rain. He does not need to hold them. They can pass through. The night will hold them for him. Somewhere in the eaves, the cat shifts in her sleep, a soft rustle, then stillness. All is well. Chapter 5. Between the notes, morning arrives softly, as if unsure it should disturb the hush that settled overnight. The rain has ended, but its scent remains damp stone, moss, and the faint sweetness of washed leaves. Light returns gently, feathering across the slanted ceiling and casting the faintest glow through sheer curtains. Theo wakes slowly, not with alarm or intention, but with the natural rhythm of one who has nothing to hurry toward. He stretches beneath the woolen blanket, feet finding the cool edge of the sheet, and then pauses, listening. The room is quiet, but not still. A drip from the eaves, the faint rustle of pages in a current of air, the distant clink of a spoon in a cup somewhere down the lane. Theo rises, wraps the blanket around his shoulders, and pads barefoot toward the window. The street below glistens with remnants of night. Leaves cling to the cobblestone. A lone cyclist passes, slow and steady, coat trailing like a sail. Clouds remain in the sky, but they have softened in and luminous, touched with gold at the edges. Theo watches a pair of birds flutter across the rooftops, tracing invisible paths between chimneys. The city is beginning to stir, but gently. He makes tea without sound. The kettle doesn't whistle so much as sigh. The mug he chooses is pale blue, smooth at the lip. He holds it in both hands as he returns to the piano. The bench creaks as he sits. The lid is still closed from the day before. He places the mug on the windowsill and lays his hands gently on the wood, not to play yet, just to feel its cool surface, to listen with his skin. What lingers is not a song, not yet, only a feeling, like a breath held between notes, like the quiet before a phrase begins. He opens the lid. Keys blink up at him, ivory softened by time. His fingers hover but do not press. He lets them rest, suspended, waiting for the morning to decide what sound it wants to make. Downstairs, the shop is still closed, but Mrs. Bellamy has arrived. He hears the soft jingle of her keys, the click of the door, the hush of her cardigan brushing the glass. Her presence settles like steam beneath the floorboards. In the back of the shop, she turns on a small lamp, places her bag on the chair, and begins her gentle rituals, wiping the counter, straightening a stack of old journals, dusting a violin case with a cloth that smells faintly of lavender. Theo begins not with a melody, but with a single note. It rings low and warm, like the sound of rain remembered. He waits, listens, then adds another and another. A new lullaby stirs. It is not one of sadness nor joy. It is one of being, of existing gently, of waking without rush, of sitting between the notes and letting them arrive in their own time. Outside, someone walks by humming, the sound trailing up with the scent of bread from the corner bakery. A door opens and closes. A sparrow lands on the windowsill, pecks once and flutters off. Theo continues, the lullaby unfolding not in lines, but in waves, soft curves of sound, rising and falling, like the breath of morning itself. Each note finds its place, not because he seeks it, but because it belongs. And upstairs, in the quiet room above the shop, the morning finds its shape. Chapter 6. A tape for the window. The lullaby is finished by noon, not because Theo decides it is done, but because the music stops arriving. It ends in the way a candle burns out gently, as if sleep itself touched the wick. Theo copies the notes with care. His pen moves in smooth arcs and soft lines. The ink a quiet companion. Each measure is placed not with precision, but with respect, as if the melody has a personality to be honored. He pauses halfway through to refill his tea. The kettle gives a soft exhale. He adds a thin slice of lemon, watches the swirl of steam. The paper waits patiently on the desk, the lullaby unfinished but certain of itself. The envelope is cream-colored, as always. The number, no, 39. He writes it slowly in the upper corner, then sets the envelope at the top of the stair. It rests there like a gift left on a doorstep. Downstairs, Mrs. Bellamy finds it. She lifts the envelope, smiles, and holds it against her chest for a moment. She does not need to read the music to know its mood. She has known Theo long enough to feel the weight of his quiet days. In the back room, she prepares a new cassette. A small stack of them waits on the shelf, each one ready to be called into being. She labels the tape with her usual hand. For those who need rest, Then she plays. Today, her playing is even softer than usual. Perhaps the weather calls for it, or perhaps it's the light mild and golden brushing her shoulders through the narrow window. Each note is a kindness. Each pause is a hand held. When she finishes, she sets the tape beside the register. The shop is quiet. Customers come and go with the slow rhythm of a weekday afternoon. A man lingers at the wall of mandolin. A child tests a triangle, then laughs. Mrs. Bellamy decides something without speaking it aloud. She selects the new tape and carries it to the front window. There, she sets it among the display of small instruments and softly folded cloths. A place of honor where sunlight can warm its casing. A note is added beside it. No, 39, for slow mornings, for windows open just a little, for tea not yet cool. The tape sits there all afternoon. Some pause to read the cover. One person picks it up, holds it to their chest, then places it back. It is not taken. Not yet. Mrs. Bellamy dusts the counter in slow, circular motions. She hums a piece of the melody to herself under her breath. It lingers in her mind like something wrapped in soft wool. She brews the second pot of tea and pours a cup for herself, carrying it to the chair by the window. The cup warms her palms. She watches the passers-by, her mind still quietly tracing Theo's melody. No words come, but they aren't needed. Upstairs, Theo does not watch the window. He does not need to. He trusts the world to carry the song where it must go. He's already listening for the next hush, the next moment when silence leans in, the next song not yet written. Outside, the clouds shift and stretch. A breeze rustles the leaves. Somewhere, the sparrow sings once and then falls silent. A moment passes. The light leans closer. And inside the shop window, beside the candle and the tapes and the folded cloth, no, 39 waits quietly like a breath between two words. Chapter 7. The Visitor. The bell above the shop door rings softly. It is early evening, and the sky has begun to cool. The blue outside deepens to a velvet gray. The edges of the buildings softening into shadow. The shop glows gently within, golden and steady. A woman enters, her coat damp from the misty air. She carries a bag in one hand, a scarf in the other. She does not rush. Her eyes move slowly across the room, as if reacquainting themselves with quiet. She smells the air before she fully steps into resin, wood, and something faintly herbal. There's a comfort in it, as if the place has remained just as it was the last time she visited, whenever that was. Mrs. Bellamy looks up from the counter. She offers a small nod, not of greeting but of welcome, the kind that doesn't require words, the kind that says, "Take your time." The woman walks past the violins, past the shelves of sheet music. She pauses at the cassettes. Her fingers hover just above the rows, reading them not by title but by weight. She stops at No. 39. She picks it up, turning it in her hands. She reads the handwritten card. The words settle into her chest like warmth after rain. Her shoulders ease. She doesn't move for a while. Mrs. Bellamy says nothing. She watches only briefly, then turns to tidy a stack of cloths. The moment is not hers to hold. The woman brings the tape to the counter. Her voice, when she speaks, is quiet. "For my sister," she says. She doesn't sleep much anymore. Then she smiles, almost apologetically. She used to play the cello. Mrs. Bellamy only nods again, gently. She wraps the tape in brown paper, ties it with a bit of twine. Her hands are slow and careful, like someone preparing something sacred. The woman lingers for a moment after the package is ready. Her fingers rest on the edge of the counter. "It feels like this place breathes differently," she says. "It does," Mrs. Bellamy replies, her voice like linen, soft and well worn. And that is all. The woman leaves, her steps quiet against the floor. The door closes with a hush. The bell rings again, once. Outside, she pulls her scarf round her neck, cradling the small wrapped tape in both hands. She walks slowly, as if not quite ready to return to the world. The glow from the window trails behind her. A dog barks faintly in the distance. A shutter clicks closed. Somewhere, someone is lighting a fire. She smells it would smoke and cinnamon. Her breath comes slow and even. Upstairs, Theo hears it. He does not know who came or why, but something in the air tells him the lullaby has found a place to rest. He turns toward the piano, not to play, but to listen, not to compose, but to wait. There's always more silence to come, and within it, the shape of the next song already beginning to form. Outside, the mist thickens. Lamps flicker on, one by one, golden circles in the deepening dusk. The city does not rush. It, too, seems to be listening. Chapter 8. The Lullaby That Waits. The night deepens, and with it comes the hush Theo knows best. It does not fall all at once. It settles in layers first, the slowing of footsteps outside, then the dimming of lights behind drawn curtains, then the long stillness that wraps the rooftops like a quilt. Up in the room above the shop, Theo sits at the window. His lamp is low, the tea on the sill now cool, untouched for hours. He is not writing. He is not playing. He is simply being. The piano waits in the background, its lid closed, its wood warm from the day's sun. The notebook is tucked away, the pen capped. The silence is complete, not empty, but whole. A soft sound from above, the cat returning to her ledge. Her paws make no more noise than the falling of a leaf. She stretches, then settles, tail wrapped neatly around her toes. Her presence, as always, confirms the night. Theo watches the window across the street, where the candle in Mrs. Bellamy's display still flickers. The tape remains in the window no 40 now. He placed it there himself this afternoon. The same ritual as ever, but this one felt different. No, 40 is not a lullaby of notes and measures. It is something else, a single tone, held long and low, a hush in sound, a lullaby made of waiting. He wrote it with nothing but pauses, space between soft chords, moments for the breath to catch and release. It is not made to be heard. It is made to be felt. Mrs. Bellamy had not asked questions. She never did. She simply recorded it, slow and faithful. When she listened back, her eyes misted, but she said only, "It will help someone sleep." Theo had nodded. That was enough. Now, in the night, he feels it still. the way the quiet holds everything, the way the world sometimes needs not a melody but a moment, a reminder that rest is allowed, that being is enough. Downstairs, the shop is dark. The tape display glows faintly under the window light. No, 40 waits, its card unread for now, but someone will find it. They always do. A breeze moves through the open window, cool and silver. It brushes against Theo's cheek, stirs the edge of a page on his desk. He closes his eyes, breathes in, breathes out. The cat on the ledge lifts her head, ears twitching once, then settles again. Below, the city is held in stillness, not asleep, but resting. Theo leans back into the quiet. He does not need to name what comes next. He only needs to listen. The next lullaby will arrive in time. And for now, he lets the stillness be whole and lets himself be held within it.